Christmas is only a couple of months away, so better get started on the quilting. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is my weekly vlog for Monday, September the 24th, and it's vlog number 86, and I hope everybody had a good weekend. We had a fairly uneventful weekend. We didn't do anything too exciting, but I did manage to almost finish a project I've been working on. I decided to make a Christmas, what do you want to call it? Christmas banner, Christmas hanger, wall hanging. And it's behind me, and I showed this on Stephen and Walter yesterday because I had just finished it yesterday on Stephen and Walter, and you can see the angels, the gold angels, those are all embroidered into the blocks, and all I have to do now is quilt it, and I think I'll just do some simple ruler foot quilting, and I was going to start that today, but I can't because I don't have the right thread. I need, you never have the right thread when you do a project. Doesn't matter how much thread you have, you never have the right one. So I need to go to Ultimate Sewing, and they're not open today. They open from Tuesday to Saturday, closed on Mondays and Sundays. So I need to go over there and get some thread. But I need a few other things too, so I better start making a list about all these things that I need. But I did design this myself. And when I say I designed it myself, the pattern is a fairly standard type of block pattern, but I did it in electric quilt, and this is the first time that I designed an entire project in electric quilt. Electric Quilt 8, for those of you that know what electric quilt is. Essentially, it's a computer software program that allows you to design quilts, and when you have the quilt or the block designed, you can print it all out, and it'll print out the measurements and the cutting dimensions and everything like that. Just as a side note though, I designed my block as a 10-inch block. When I printed out the cutting information, it wanted to cut things in weird numbers. What I mean by weird numbers, it wanted to do it like 6 3/8 of an inch, 3 1/8 of an inch, that kind of thing. And when you start getting into 1/8 of an inch and you're cutting, I find it a little, well, it just makes things a little bit difficult and easier to make mistakes. I would rather work with 1/4 inches and 1/2 inches. So I adjusted the size so I could do that. Just me. I'm sure that experienced quilters don't have any trouble with 3/8 of an inch and that kind of thing, but I couldn't be bothered. And that's the beauty of using electric quilt. Then you can fine-tune it to suit your purposes, and that's what I did. I'm pretty proud of the way it turned out. I hope I don't blow it when I quilt it, but I'm just going to be very simple. As I've said before, I'm going to use ruler foot quilting on this, and I'm not going to get too wild or fancy. I think it's mostly going to be stitch in the ditch on this one because, a lot of the squares are taken up with the embroidery, so I can't quilt over top of those, and I wouldn't want to quilt over those. And the other thing I did on this one, which I'm finding I like a lot, is the binding. I didn't do a separate strip binding. I did this, I think they call it the pillowcase method or blanket method, something like that. It's essentially where you put the backing and the padding, lay it all out in your layers, but you lay it out in such a way that all you have to do is stitch around the outside of it and turn it inside out, and you've got your backing and your batting are all attached. So you don't really see a different color going around the outside. And for this particular quilt, I didn't think I needed another type of binding on it because I have two borders, the white one and the red one, and I didn't think I needed anything else. And the reason I like that kind of binding, because it's simple. Now I have not tried it on a full-size quilt, but I think I might. I don't know, maybe people who have been quilting for a lot longer than I have maybe poo-pooing this idea of doing it the way I've done this one. Maybe I don't know if a binding strip, with the exception that you can do it in the same colors you're backing or do it in a contrasting or complementary kind of material, and it does add another dimension to your quilt. It's just a pain in the butt to do it, and this is a lot easier. So I don't know. I think for things like placemats and wall hangings and stuff like that, I think this kind of binding that I did on this one works fine. Maybe on a quilt you want to be a little bit more sophisticated, if that is a sophisticated method, I'm really not sure, and add a totally different binding strip. Whatever, but I'm happy with the final result, and I'll show it to you once I get it quilted, which will be maybe next week. I'll have it ready for the vlog. And this is just another little project that I've put together that is keeping me away from quilting the big quilt. There is something internal inside of me going on that's I just got to do it. I've just got to do it. I've made up many excuses for why I haven't started it, and I just got to get on with it. So anyways, I won't be starting to quilt that one today because I have a meeting this morning later on, and that's to meet up with Carla at the Robert McLaughlin Gallery to show her what I've created in terms of the thank you gifts that I mentioned last week that we give to the performers on RMG Fridays. And also she says she's got another project for me that she says, this has got me intrigued, that it's right up my alley, that I'd be perfect for it. So I have no idea what she's talking about, but we're meeting this morning at about 11 o'clock, and so I guess I'll find out then and tell you all about it next week, whatever it might be. Okay, so that's basically all I've been up to this week because, you know, we've been over cleaning out my mother's apartment and doing things like that. I can't believe how fast time has been going lately. It's just been flying by. Rented lips. Coffee. So anyways, time's been flying by. We're into fall. Fall officially started a couple of days ago here in Canada. And yeah, before you know it, it's Christmas. I so want to go away right now, but you know, I can't because of, you know, the situation with my mother right now, but oh, I'm just dying to go away. We've gone last couple of years, we've gone away in about this time of the year. Like last year we went to London for a week. That was great. I love London. I want to go back to London again and again and again. Yesterday someone was saying on Stephen and Walter Live that they're off on a trip to Holland, and of course you know that Walter's family comes from the Netherlands. He was born here, of course, in Canada, but we have been to Holland a couple of times. Holland's a really nice country as well. Very pretty. It's so tiny too. It's like you can go anywhere in Holland in a day and back, wherever you're starting from. So that's kind of neat. And it's just, you know, it's not here. It's just so interesting. So Walter said he'd like to go back, and I'd like to go back too. And we've even been talking about India. We've talked about India over the years with mixed feelings. You know, I know people that have been to India and loved it. But, you know, you hear different stories of it. You see different images of it. I said to Walter, the only way I would go to India is if we were on an organized trip, you know, like through a company kind of a thing. I don't want to have to worry about looking for hotels or places to eat and stuff like that. Yes, that's very touristy to do something like that, but you want to know something? The first time I go to a country, I don't mind being touristy. With the exception of Australia, many times, most of the places we go to for the first time, we're on organized tours for it. I just find that it removes some of the worry about where you're going to stay, where you're going to eat, that kind of thing. You see what you need to see as a tourist, and if you really like it and you're comfortable with it, then you can go back and do your own thing. The only place we've really never done that with was Australia. But Australia feels like Canada in many ways. You know, it doesn't feel foreign. So we felt more comfortable doing that, making our own plans and doing that kind of thing. But with a place like India, I think it's best to go on an organized tour. Now, you may agree with me, you may not agree with me. I am adventuresome, but I'm a controlled adventurer, okay? And what I mean by that is I like to feel safe. I like to have the worry taken, as much worry about traveling taken away. I mean, heaven only knows, just the airport alone in Toronto makes my blood pressure pop. And actually, I'm going to talk about my blood pressure in a moment too. So yeah, got that travel bug in me again, and so does Walter. And right now we're kind of tied down because, you know, we have to make sure my mother's looked after and whatnot. But I said to Walter, once she's established in a nursing home and we're confident that her needs are being looked after and she's, you know, as happy as she can be in a place like that, we're gone. We're on a trip. I don't know where, I don't know when, but we're gone. Simple as that. Okay, moving on. YouTube channel of the week. Sorry, it is a quilting channel, and I'm surprised I hadn't talked about this one before because I've watched them faithfully. You know, talking about trips, I would love to go on a quilting trip. And what I mean by that is I'd like to go down to Missouri in the States because that seems to be the central area for quilting. Missouri Star Quilt Company is down there. I think Angela Walters is Angela Walters there, or is she out of Michigan? She might be out of Michigan. That's a little closer. I have to look into that. That might be Michigan. And then there's Jordan Fabrics, and I think they're in Missouri as well. It seems to be the central point, and I would love to go down there. I mean, it's about a 14-hour drive, you know, so a day and a night and another day kind of a thing. It would be nice. It might be nice to go this time of the year. The only problem I have is that it is located in the United States. Do I need to say any more right now? I don't think so, so I won't. Okay, here's the YouTube channel of the week. This week's YouTube channel is one called Jordan Fabrics. This, of course, is for the quilters out there. But what I find really interesting about this site is how clear they are about the instructions for making various quilts. Now, many of their quilts are based upon the fabrics they have in stock, which you can order online. And some of the patterns you can also order as well. But what I find is that this is a great site for inspiration. Now, you might think this is just for quilters, but I have found that the designs that are used in quilts can also be applied to creating backgrounds for mixed media and scrapbook and card projects as well. So never underestimate, just because it says quilting doesn't mean you can't transfer the ideas and the inspiration to some of your own paper projects as well. So if you want some inspiration, or if you're just interested in general about the quilting process, you should check out Jordan Fabrics. Okay, so persons of interest, I don't have any. And I haven't had any in quite a while. People, come on, don't be shy. Send me something. Anything about yourself. I've got prompt questions in the comments below for you. You don't need to be famous. In fact, I would rather you weren't famous, because think of it this way. I'm giving you an opportunity to have your 15 minutes of fame, such as it is, on my channel, okay? But I just think I've met so many wonderful people through my vlog, through Stephen and Walter Live and my other videos. I think it would be really nice to be able to introduce them to everybody else as well. So think about it. Seriously, think about it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be something that you've got to spend days working on or anything like that. Anything. Send me a picture of your house, or a picture of your favorite piece of art, or, you know, tell me about what you've done in the last week, or tell me about what turns your crank when it comes to being creative, whatever. Just something short, simple. It doesn't matter how long it is or how short it is. And I would love to feature you, okay? My email address is at the end of this video. Check it out. Send me something, please, please, okay? Otherwise, it's all about me, okay? And I'm not sure how you feel about that. All right. Resources are listed below for this week. Stephen and Walter Live is there. The book I'm going to talk about today and the link to Jordan Fabrics, the YouTube channel of the week, is listed below as well. And I have a new episode of The Idiot Quilter, episode 28, called My Alex. It's not about a person. It's about my storage unit that I've just bought and that Walter put together. Some assembly required because it came from IKEA. And it holds all my embroidery threads, and I'm really happy with it. It fit in the spot that I want to fit in because my sewing dungeon is very limited for space, and it works out pretty good. It wasn't too bad price-wise, and Walter got it together with a minimal amount of swearing. So it works great. So check that out. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week? Okay, so you know that I've been working on cleaning up my mother's apartment, you know, basically getting rid of all her stuff. It kind of sounds very negative to say something like that. Like, the lady's not dead, thank goodness, but she's never going back to the apartment, as you know, and she'll be in a nursing home, and that's stuff she just can't take with her. I mean, about 4 years ago when she moved into the apartment and we sold her house, after my father passed away, we did a major clean out and got rid of a lot of stuff because she had a house. She was moving into a 2-bedroom apartment from a house. And that was hard then, you know, because basically you had to look at stuff and go, do I really want to take this to the apartment? And we got rid of a lot of stuff one way or another. So I didn't think this was going to be a huge job. It turned out to be a really huge job. Also, it bothered me a great deal because, you know, you sit there and you look and you're removing somebody's life. And it would be different if my mother was no longer with us, okay? But she is. So, of course, every step of the way I was talking to my mother. I didn't get rid of anything without my mother's permission. I didn't redistribute anything without my mother's permission. She knew what I was doing every step of the way. It's her stuff, after all. And I'll give credit to my mother. She at least was being very realistic about it. And, you know, like, some of these things she's had for years. But she knew they had to be removed. So she didn't get too sentimental over it all or anything like that. Now, of course, things that were much more personal, we kept. Either my sister has them or I have them. Or I'm saving them right now until my mother gets into the nursing home, and then we decide, you know, what little things she can have there with her and whatnot. But, you know, things like dishes and furniture and stuff like that, well, really, I guess we don't need to get too attached to that, and I talked all about that last week. So what's pissing me off is this. You put things up on Kijiji for sale. Actually, they weren't for sale. They were free. They were medical things. I talked about this in Stephen and Walter yesterday, so I won't get into it too far, but basically a wheelchair in still good working order, a walker, some other things. Boy, do people get picky even when the price is free. They want you to basically sign a guarantee. I didn't physically have to sign anything, but they want this guarantee that everything is in absolute working order and the whole bit. Well, yes, I wasn't going to put it up if it was broken. It would have gone in the garbage. I told them it was that. Then they try to make arrangements to pick it up. Well, if you want it, I figure the onus is on you to get it. I'm not asking any money for it. It's free. You figure out it around my schedule. I was trying to be flexible. But some of these people wanted the sun, the moon, and the stars to stop rotating in order to accommodate their schedule. Well, that pisses me off. Other things that piss me off in this whole process are charity groups. Okay, I don't know where you live, whether you get this or not, but at least once a week, sometimes twice, we get various charities calling us looking for donations of used clothing, furniture, stuff like that. And they basically have stores, thrift stores, that they sell them in order to make money for their foundation. For example, the Diabetes Society of Canada or whatever, they operate a series of stores called Value Village, and basically it's a thrift store. I donate to them all the time. There's one located, you know, half a mile away from me, so it's easy to go and drop the stuff in. But they're picky, very picky about what they want now. Okay, I get it. They don't want crap. They don't want stuff that's not going to sell. They don't want somebody else's garbage, literally garbage. Okay, broken stuff, you know, that's so soiled and dirty, you know, that they could never get it clean. Yeah, I get that. And I agree with them. I think that's a good thing. But we went and took a carload of boxes of housewares, dishes, basically. Dishes, glasses, flatware, stuff like that. Everyday stuff, all in good shape. To a place in the town my mother is in right now called Missions for Bibles. I think the title tells you everything, okay? So Missions for Bibles, obviously they have some kind of affiliation with a religious group or something. Fine, I don't care. You know, I don't believe in organized religion, but I mean, if this is something that does good for, you know, people who need a hand, then I have no problem with that. And they were close. I was originally going to take the stuff to Value Village, but Value Village is in the town I live in. Missions for Bibles is in the town my mother lives in. It just made sense. It was closer to where the stuff was. So we take a carload down. And we go in, and guy takes a look at the car full of stuff, and he goes, yeah, we can take that. And I says, well, we have 2 more carloads of the same. And he goes, oh, could you maybe wait a week or 2, because we don't have a lot of space in here, so we need to, you know, sort it out and get it out, and then we have more room. Huh? You're begging for stuff all the time, and now you're turning it down? No. So he did say, he says, well, you know, there's a Salvation Army thrift store down the street and some other place. I think it was associated with the hospital. They take things too. You know, you can spread the wealth around, I guess. And I said, okay, well, thank you for that. So we went to the Salvation Army. We unloaded all this stuff at Missions for Bibles, went to the Salvation Army and took a look at what their donations work. Well, they have a great big huge sign on the side of their building outside telling you what they don't take. They don't take electronics. They don't take appliances. They don't take this. They don't take that. They don't take this. Okay. Picky. Very picky. Again, I agree. If it's garbage, if it's broken, if it's soiled to the point you cannot get it clean, yes, don't take it. But give me a break. Then don't be calling me all the time and saying, we need donations, we need donations. So luckily though, they didn't have any problem with our 2 carloads of stuff, so we were able to get rid of the rest of the stuff there. So, but I guess what pisses me off is you get these people who are getting something for nothing, but you would think they were investing thousands of dollars into it, and they're being really picky about it. If you're going to be that picky, buy new. Don't look for a handout then, kind of a thing. That's all I can say about that. Anyways, having said that, and moving on, the apartment's empty. Almost. We've got to go over there tomorrow, and there's just a couple of items that are definitely garbage items, and we have to load them up in the car and take them to the dump. And you know they charge at the dump for dumping stuff. I mean, we pay taxes, and part of our taxes go for landfill and all that kind of stuff and garbage, and yet they still charge us. And their minimum charge is about $5. Well, I don't think we've ever paid minimum charge, or at least not very many times. And we've had like feathers. Well, not really, but you know what I mean, like something so light. So it usually costs you more like $8 and up for whatever. Yeah, our tax dollars at work. Not really. But anyways, I don't know, maybe that's to discourage people from getting rid of stuff, or to think twice about it before it goes into whatever they do. And it's not going into landfill, it's going into recycling, because there's different bins where you take this stuff and they tell you which bins to put different things, like cardboard goes here, metal goes here, wood goes here, household garbage goes here, and whatnot. So basically it's being recycled, supposedly, and I don't know if they make money from that or not. But nevertheless, that's another thing that pisses me off. Why do I have to pay for garbage when I'm already paying for it in my taxes? Okay, so anyways, like I said, the apartment's pretty much cleaned out. Thank goodness for it. The timing was just perfect. I mean, okay, you may think this is really weird of me, especially what I've said about religion, but I did sort of pray about this, and my prayers were answered, okay? Yeah, you might find it funny that I actually do kind of pray. I don't believe in organized religion, but I do believe in a higher power, okay? And, well, I don't want to get into it too much because it's very personal, but anyways, I have been, you know, how do you put it without sounding like a religious freak here? I believe there's somebody looking after me when I need them the most. And this was a prime example of this. I was almost at my wit's end about what am I going to do with all this stuff? And lo and behold, the son of a friend needed stuff and said he'd take it all. Not only that, he had trucks. He had help. Came in on Wednesday, came in on Friday, cleaned us out. And that was great. And I'm so happy that it was going to somebody who needed it. And so, yeah, that all worked out well. So that's one weight off my shoulders right now. And so let's just jump right down to what I was going to talk about my mother, because that is a big weight, as you know. And I know many of you out there are the principal caregivers for someone in your family too. And so you know what we go through when we do that. And it is a lot of pressure on you as an individual. And it's a lot of worry. And I'm a worrier, okay? I don't know, my zodiac sign is Cancerian, and Cancerians are worriers, and I'm definitely a Cancerian because I worry a lot. I try not to, but I do. And I'm also one of those kind of people that sees everything as a problem that needs to be solved. Again, maybe what's contributing to my high blood pressure. Talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so this is one worry off my shoulders. Let's see. So what else about my mom? Well, she's doing fine. I got a call from her doctor at the hospital the other day, because I'll say one thing over at this hospital. I had gone to the nurse's station and I just asked a few things because I was worried about how much my mother was eating and drinking, because she had last week her blood pressure for a few days was a little bit low. And a lot of that is caused sometimes, from what I know, what I've read, that could be from, you know, a lack of fluids, a lack of eating, and things like that. And my mother, as you've heard me say before, doesn't eat as well as she should. So I also thought she might be feeling a little bit depressed with all this of getting rid of her stuff and things like that, which, yeah, naturally so. I think I would be depressed too about that. So I went to the nurse's station and voiced my concerns, and they said no, she was eating okay as far as they were concerned and everything like that. So, and about her lack of activity, you know, like they have lots of activities in this section of the hospital she's in to do. And we were in there one day visiting her in the morning, and a couple of ladies came in, wanted to know if she wanted to go down for the hymn sing. They have that once a week. And my mother used to sing in the choir at church, and she enjoys that. Well, she kind of said she wasn't feeling up for it that day. Well, she's only ever been once since she's been in the hospital to that, and they come every week and ask her whether she'd like to do that. And all the time she's got an excuse for why she doesn't do it. And I'm afraid she's falling into the same habit she had when she was living in the apartment, where she basically turns on the TV and that's it. That's her day. And I have been encouraging her, as I have been all the while, to, you know, join in. Keep yourself active, Mom. You've got to do this. So anyways, I guess they must have said what I was concerned about to the doctor that's looking after her, because I got a call from this doctor. And this doctor is really thorough and is really nice. I haven't met her on a one-to-one basis, but I've talked to her a couple times on the phone. And she said, well, the blood pressure was back to normal, and basically the fluctuations are not unusual. And they were monitoring what she was eating, and she felt that she was eating what she should be eating. Okay, good. And she was encouraging my mother to get more involved. She wanted to see her up and active as well in things. So I thought, okay, well, I had a little discussion with the doctor about my mother and basically said, well, I hope, doctor, you are right and that will encourage my mother. But I said, I've been trying and it hasn't been working for quite a few years. So I wasn't holding out a lot of hope that that was going to change. But I said to the doctor, maybe coming from you, maybe it will have an effect, and I hope so. So anyways, the doctor's monitoring the situation, so to speak. I get this distinct feeling that basically this is the new norm for my mother, and I got to get used to it. This is just the way it's going to be. So there it is. I try my best. I guess that's all I can do, and hope for the best. So anyways, my mother's okay, and we're still sitting around waiting to see when she might get into a home, and we have no idea. That could be months down the road. Probably will be. Okay, let's get off my mother, and let's talk about what else is new. Well, okay, so I told you that I got the IKEA Alex for my embroidery threads, and I did make a video about that, so that's in the show notes below. And that takes us to the book review of the week. So digging into my stash of books, bought this one a long time ago, especially when I was majorly into scrapbooking. And because I travel, this one's about creating travel scrapbooks, and it's by a company that I don't think exists anymore called Memory Makers. I used to buy quite a few of Memory Makers books from them. I really like them, and the reason I like them is because they had all these pictures showing you, you know, all kinds of things people have done with their, in this particular case, their travel photos. And I think it's very inspirational. It's not so much a book that tells you step by step how to do it. More or less it lists the materials and it shows you pictures of what people have done. So it's more of a book of inspiration more than anything else. But if you're into traveling and you're tired of, you know, sticking your pictures in a standard photo album, you might want to try something like this, especially if it's a special trip or for, you know, a special occasion or something like that. I think this has got some really neat ideas in it. Now, what's the cost? Well, on the back it says I paid in Canadian dollars $27.99, and I said I've had this for quite a few years. I don't even think it lists in here the year this was printed. I'll just take a little bit of a look here and see where copyright. Okay, it's got everything here except, oh wait, is that a year? Focus my glasses here. I think it might have been 2007 from what I can find here. But I looked it up on Amazon.ca, and what I found was if you want to buy this book new now, it's going to cost you a lot more money. They're listing it at $40.47. However, there's the other extreme. If you want it used, you can get it for as cheap as $1.23. Go figure. That's something about Amazon you got to watch. Amazon's prices will fluctuate. They'll fluctuate not just over a week or a month's time or a year's time. They will fluctuate on a daily basis, almost hourly. It depends. There must be an algorithm written into it that watches what you're searching for. And then I think it plays with the prices. If it thinks you really want this somehow, it'll up the price. So it pays to look into the used section, because a book like this, I would never pay $40 for a book like this. You got to be kidding. This is not. Even at what I paid for it, $27.99, that's a little pricey for this kind of book. Okay, I mean, it's a good book, but a little pricey. Especially now with the internet. You can go on the internet and you could probably do a search for, you know, how to scrapbook my travel pictures, and I'm sure you'll find YouTube videos about this and all kinds of things out there's a search. But you know, if you can get it used, and most times I've ordered used books that are in pretty good condition, for $1.23. Now, I don't know how much they would cost you to ship it. That might be something different you have to fill in there, but $1.23 is pretty cheap. So anyways, that's the book of the week. All right, inspiration. Well, I'm going to combine again this week my inspiration tips with what's in my drawers. And I've got a little video here to insert. But basically, I have something that everybody has. Sharpies. You know, magic markers, Sharpies, okay? Sharpies, you know, write on almost any kind of surface. Well, there's a reason for that, because they're alcohol-based. And so if you've got some Sharpies, if you've got some photo paper, as in photo quality printer paper, you know, the glossy stuff, and if you've got some ordinary rubbing alcohol, you can have some fun. And that's what I'll show you here. So what's in my drawers this week? Something that you have in your drawers, I am sure, and that's Sharpie markers. Now, Sharpie markers write on everything. We know that. But did you know that you can use these as sort of a ghetto version of alcohol inks? Now, if you're not familiar with what alcohol inks are, they're basically what they're called. They are inks mixed with alcohol, and they will stick to non-porous surfaces. So something like photo glossy paper or acetate or glass or plastic, whatever. The thing about alcohol inks are they're fairly expensive. Whereas you can buy a package of Sharpies, 12 in a package for, you know, $12 or maybe even less depending on sale. Alcohol inks will cost you for about half that amount of money. In fact, actually, probably only about a third of those you can get for that kind of money. So I did some experimentation, and I'm going to show you kind of a thing to do with your Sharpies and with alcohol. And when I'm saying alcohol, I mean this. Ordinary rubbing alcohol. Now, I'm using a fairly strong one, 99%, but I think you can use anything from about a 70% up. But the stronger the alcohol, the better. And you can get these at your local drugstore or Walmart or wherever. And I have poured some of that into just a little spray bottle. You're going to need some photo glossy paper. And it's just copier paper, but it's got the glossy side to it for making, you know, high quality prints. So it's got a slick surface to it. You're also going to need a piece of acetate or clear plastic. And what I've got here is just a piece from a piece of packaging, like a clamshell packaging kind of a thing. And this is what you can come up with, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So you can see you can get some really cool backgrounds from this. So I'm going to show you how I did these. Take your acetate sheet and just lay it down. Now I'm putting it on a paper towel here because alcohol inks will stain and they become permanent. So you want to protect your clothing and you want to protect your hands, or you'll be scrubbing off alcohol ink for days. So I've got some disposable gloves on for this. And I've got my glossy photocopy paper right here. And I'm just going to take a Sharpie. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble onto the acetate sheet, just in several spots. And I'm just mixing up colors. Colors can overlap, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get a layer of color down here onto the acetate. Now, it doesn't matter how big your piece of acetate is. You want it to be close to the size of your card you're going to be dipping this in. So this is like a 4x6, I think, or is it 4x7? There's so 4x7. There's no such thing as 4x7. Well, there is if you cut it. Not 4x7, I mean 5x7. I think this is 4x6 though. And I'll just add one more color for fun. Now, you have to work fairly fast with this because alcohol evaporates very fast. So spray well the acetate. And you see it's all bubbling up. Now very quickly, take your photo grade copier paper and put the shiny side down into the ink. And there, look what you're getting. Now this will move a little bit, and if you want to get more movement, spritz it a little bit. And because it evaporates fairly quickly, you'll get a little bit of movement. See, I'm getting some movement down in here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. There's a little bit of a run there, and this is why I have the paper towel. Okay, I'm going to hit this with the heat gun for just a few seconds because I want to add another layer of color on here. Now you could let it just air dry, that's fine. It doesn't take very long to do that at all. And I'm just trying to get my screensaver cut in. You probably didn't see that, but it did, so I had to move my mouse around. So I've got some excess on here, so I'm just going to grab another paper towel. And you can actually use a baby wipe. And actually not. I forgot, it's alcohol ink. So alcohol ink, when it dries on a non-porous surface, becomes permanent until you put more alcohol on it. So you see it just wipes straight up, and this is why I'm using the paper towel underneath, because it's just absorbing everything, makes it easier to clean up. Okay, so I'm going to put another layer of color down on this. So I'm going to take some other colors. And of course, some colors show up better than others. Now, one thing too, there are some fumes, both from the markers and from the alcohol, so you don't want to be sitting here sniffing this up for very long. Work quickly. And sometimes you don't pick up as much color. Again, it depends on what colors you're using. You have to experiment, but that's kind of the fun of doing this. And I think I'll just try to get another layer on here. Clean this one up. And let's hit this with the heat gun for a few seconds. And let's try a little bit of a light blue. Now you see, you can't see this blue, but I think it is working. Yeah, it is. It's just not showing up very well on here, but when it gets wet, it may work better on to this surface. Let's put some more orange on. And let's just give this a squirt and try to get some of those white areas where I didn't get any color before. This is sort of the Tim Holtz method of using like distress inks, only we're using Sharpies. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right, now if you want to add a little variety to this, just clean off the acetate so I can use it again another time. Then what you can do is spritz the overall background and let the alcohol ink stay in there. And it's probably not showing up in the camera very well, but I am getting some spots that are a little lighter than others. So I'm just going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to dab. And you can see I'm getting sort of a mottled effect in here. And I'm just going to do that again. Let it sit. You can probably even make it run a little bit if you wish. Maybe some movement. Because the alcohol does reactivate the ink from the Sharpies. Now you see I got a lot of the darker color off that time. So I'm just going to hit it again with the heat gun. And another thing you can do is you can put droplets of alcohol in here. So I'm just grabbing a round paintbrush and I'm going to dip it into my ink and I'm just going to splatter it. Okay, let that sit for a minute. And then, so I don't know if you can see it, but it is giving me some watermark effects. I'm just going to lightly blot. And actually, I was going to dry it again, but I don't think I'm going to dry it. I think I'm just going to add a little bit more. Okay, let that sit. Okay, let's dry that. Now, another thing you can do, let's just move this over to the side here. Put my brush away. Take that piece of acetate again and do the same thing as we did last time. Just scribble on it. I'm just going to use one color this time. Again, you could use multiple colors, but for this technique that I'm going to show you here, I think one or two colors is best, because more than that and you might end up with brown, with mud. Okay, so this time I'm going to hold this up and I'm going to drip it from the acetate onto and I'm just going to let that sit for a second, and then I'm going to just lightly pounce on it. And you can see the other colors are coming up from underneath. And let's hit that with the heat gun. And if your paper curls, just turn it over and apply heat to the back side. And you should be able to get it to curl back down. If it doesn't, it's not a problem. You can just take it and sort of bend it a little bit. Okay, so you can see there's all kinds of possibilities here. So if you don't have alcohol inks, you can use a Sharpie for a quickie background. Now, what are you going to do with this after you've got this all done? Well, I'm going to show you what I did with it. I'm just going to take off the gloves. I'm taking off the gloves, people. You can take these backgrounds, tear them up, use them in other pieces, but what I like to do with them is I like to put them through a die cut, in this case a butterfly, and this is the Tim Holtz Dual. butterfly set, it's called. There's two different butterflies on it, and I just layer them on top of each other, and so you get these two really cool butterflies. And you can go on, and you just keep adding layers until you get what you want. So it's kind of fun to play with, it's very therapeutic, and it's another way to use your Sharpies and some simple rubbing alcohol. Okay, so who knew that Sharpies could be, you know, a multifaceted art product? So have fun. Wear gloves. Okay, events in the past week. I already talked about Mom. So Walter had his first sewing class, his first serger class, and that went over pretty good. He was a little bit more advanced than the rest of them in the class, and I warned him about this. There are people in the serger class that I took who really didn't know the difference between a serger and a blender. Some of them had never taken the serger out of the box. Some of them had inherited the serger from a family member or a friend and hadn't taken it out of the box. Others just had this thing, it was given to them, or they got it, thought they should have it, never took it out of the box. So Walter was ahead of the crowd on that one. So I think his class went fairly well. He has a second one this week. Now, last week was all about just threading your machine. And that kind of thing, different settings. I think the next class, they're going to be talking about different types of threads and things like that, and I don't know if they're actually going to be sewing something next week or not, but it's building up to where you'll get to make the clown pants. You've heard me talk about the clown pants, pajama pants, and the infinity scarf, and that kind of stuff, and then move on to, you know, whatever other projects they've got. But at least he'll know how to use the serger. From that, and you know, sergers are something you don't use every day, but they're very useful tools, especially if you're garment making, which I don't do. Walter's a little bit better at the garment making because he has tried that in a very limited way in past years, and Halloween is coming up, and we need a costume. We haven't dressed up in the last few years, but Walter went ahead and ordered something off of, and I haven't shown this to you yet, but I will show you in future vlogs. He ordered us a couple of things that are really kind of interesting, and we have to design a costume around them because we're going to a Halloween dance on October the 26th. So maybe by then he'll have enough experience with the serger, and between the two of us we can run up something for this. I don't know, we'll see. So anyways, he had that. I had my second embroidery class. I'm not that impressed with the embroidery class right now, and this isn't any criticism of, you know, the class or the instructor or anything like that. It's because I play with anything that I buy. Brand new, I play. And I just leap right in. And this class is basically going at a pace where, yeah, I've done that, been there, want to move ahead. But I realize that that's me, not everybody else in the class. So I try to glean from these classes any new information that I can. And I've learned a couple of things I didn't know before. So, you know, it's not a total wreck here. And I enjoy it. So it doesn't really matter. So I think we've got a project next week where we're doing something with fall leaves and something. Well, I kind of know what we're going to do because I kind of went ahead of the class and checked out a few things, so I know what we're doing. That's me. I'm bad for that. I like to work ahead, which isn't always in my favor because, you know, you work too far ahead, you make mistakes, which you could have avoided if you'd taken it, you know, a little slower. But that's just my nature, so whatever. But I am enjoying it, and I am learning some things, so be it. Okay, so I have alluded to this thing about blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. Well, Walter and I had physicals with his doctor, who's now my doctor as well, earlier in the week. And I'm generally speaking a fairly healthy person. I mean, I take one pill, and that's for cholesterol, and I've been taking it for years. And I'm still not so sure about this whole cholesterol thing anyways. You know, it seemed to become very popular about 15 years ago. Watch your cholesterol, and all this stuff. And then they've got drugs for it, and I'm on like a minimal amount of that drug. My cholesterol is usually fairly good because I'm on this drug. But, you know, as you get older, you get more medications. And sometimes I just wonder about medications anyways. You know, we're a society that pops pills. You know, looking for that wonder drug that's going to keep us eternally young and alive. And, well, they haven't got one of those yet. And I can't help but think that a lot of this pill popping, too, is being pushed on us by the pharmaceutical companies. And also, who knows what the long-term effects are of some of these pills. They may be a benefit in this area, but what are they affecting in another area? So, in my mind, I would like to stay away from chemicals as much as possible. Which, in this world, everything's got chemicals in it, but you know what I mean. So, the doctor did my physical, and she was being very thorough. It was also my first time for her. She was going through my old doctor's notes, and my old doctor's notes, my doctor was very old school. He didn't really use a computer for much. Today you go into the doctor's office, she calls up all your charts and everything right on the computer screen, goes through it all, bang, 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 bang. My doctor, their office, when he retired, faxed to her, sent electronically scanned copies of his notes. I saw them on the computer screen, and I felt really sorry for my doctor, my new doctor, because trying to read those, I don't know if doctors can read other doctors' writing or not. I mean, nobody else. If you're not a doctor, you can't read a doctor's writing, so I don't know. Can doctors have the same problem with other doctors' writing? Maybe they do. Anyway, she's going through those, and then she poked and prodded at me. And I'll have to say, when I had a physical with this doctor, and it's a woman, I had a man before, she's very civilized. I'm not standing there bare-ass naked or anything like that. Oh, I was with my other doctor, pretty much, down to my undies kind of a thing. With her, no, I'm fully dressed. Okay. Not that it bothers me, because it's a doctor, they've seen everything, you know, kind of a thing, but it's just much more civilized, right up to the digital exam too. I won't get into details, but let's just say it was much more civilized and much less degrading than the way it used to be done to me by my old doctor. Okay? Well, while she's listening to my heart, she says to me, I think you might have a heart murmur. What? A heart murmur? Yeah. You're the first that's ever told me that. I have never, ever in my life been told by a doctor that they think I have a heart murmur. Well, she said I can't be sure. So I'm going to send you for, what do they call it, echocardiogram or something, you know, whatever. It's in the same building, actually, so she filled out the paperwork. And so I'm a little uptight right now about this. I'm a little worried. I told you I'm a worrier. So I looked up what a heart murmur is. I mean, I've heard of them before. I kind of know what they are. But yeah, it says that heart murmurs, you can be born with them or you can develop them later in life. And many of them are just what they call innocent murmurs. That's a term, innocent murmur. That, you know, no biggie, no problem, don't worry about it. But then there are other types that can be fatal. Okay. And she asked me, are you out of breath a lot? Do you, do you have chest pains, things like that? I said, no, not really. I don't. So anyway, she says, well, we'll just do this to be, you know, I guess on the safe side. So, like I said, she's very thorough. So tonight, not during the day, tonight at 6:30 tonight, I have an appointment for this EKG, whatever it is, that they're going to do to me. And yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. Also, she was a little bit concerned about my blood pressure. Now, my other doctor took my blood pressure every time I had a physical and never said a word about it. She seems to think that maybe I might be slightly elevated. So I have an appointment with her again in 3 months' time to check out some more stuff. And in the meantime, she wants me to monitor my blood pressure and keep a record of it. Okay, we have 2 blood pressure machines. Walter has had elevated blood pressure for quite a while, and he has some medication for it, and he takes his blood pressure every day. My mother has elevated blood pressure. Okay, you see a trend here? Yeah. And so did my father. She's on some medication, and she had a blood machine as well, a blood pressure machine, which I now have because she wasn't using it at all. And now she doesn't have to worry about using it herself because, you know, they look after that in the hospital and they'll look after that in the nursing home. So I strapped this puppy on, and talk about giving you more worries. It's telling me I should be dead at certain times of the day. Other times of the day, I'm alive and well and can go for 100,000 years. I know, Walter says to me, yeah, it's going to fluctuate depending on the time of day, depending on whether you've eaten or not, whether or not you've done this, you walked up a set of stairs, whatever. Okay. So basically, I'm taking my blood pressure every day, and I'm recording it, and in 3 months' time, I'll show her my results, and I figured what she'll probably do is then she'll decide what range I'm in, and whether I need to go on medication for it. She also suggested that I should lose maybe 5 pounds. Well, I'm shocked at that one. I'm not shocked about losing the weight. I figured she said I should lose about 20 pounds or 25 pounds. Because in my mind, I think I'm weighing about 184 pounds with my clothes on, because she weighed me with my clothes on. Okay, I'm 5'6". I am not a big man. So I'm stocky. I think I should probably weigh about 160, 165. And I have been at that weight before. But yes, I have not been watching what I've been eating in the last year or so. I'm a stress eater. A little bit of that. I just like food, period. And I like the stuff that you shouldn't like. I try to watch it. I try to get a good balance of food and things. And so I guess now I'm going to watch it again and see if I can lose at least that 5 pounds in 3 months. I should be able to. But you know, I'm not willing to go fanatic about this. I've done that in the past. I'm not going to do that again with it. It's just, you know, life is short. Enjoy it. And I enjoy food. So I just be a little bit more conscious about making healthier choices, as they say, I guess. So that, and what else did she tell me that had me a little concerned? Oh, this is kind of funny. First she says, well, I know you don't smoke. No, I said, never have, never will. Nope. And she said, now, last time I saw you, she says, now, you said that you drink, now, do you drink? Do you drink? Yeah, I do. Mostly wine. I don't usually drink during the week, but on weekends I make up for it. She says, so you still about 8 glasses of wine? Try 8 bottles. Well, no, that's being a bit extreme, but it's probably more than 8 glasses over from a Friday to a Sunday. You know, like it's not uncommon for Walter and I on a Saturday night or Friday night, you know, usually he's making dinner and we probably don't eat till about 8 o'clock at night on those nights, and watching YouTube and whatnot and talking and everything. And we've been known to go through, between the two of us in one evening, a couple of bottles, 3 bottles of wine. So what's that, 1.5 bottles a piece, I guess, over a time period of, say, 6 hours, but nevertheless, I suppose. So I'm trying to, and I've been thinking about this, that come the weekends, I think I drink too much. So try to be a little bit more conscious of that as well. So as I said, she's very thorough, and I guess that's a good thing. So we'll see where it goes from there. I just don't, oh, and the other thing she said, this is funny too. Well, it's funny to me. So she gave Walter the shingles shot, the shingles vaccine shot, but she looked at my stuff from my other doctor, and apparently I had the shingles shot in 2012. I didn't remember that. No idea that I'd had the shot for shingles. Now, I had shingles in 1989. I got them. Mild case of them, actually. But it was 2012. Well, they didn't have the vaccine then. And now, in 2012, supposedly I had the shot. So, okay, don't remember that. Yeah, there's something wrong with my memory. And then she wanted to know when the last time was I had a tetanus shot, because she couldn't find it in the records. Well, I know that my doctor had given me a tetanus shot, And doing some talking with Walter about it, I think it was in 2008, because in 2008 we went to Egypt, and I remember asking my doctor, is there any special shots or anything that we need before we go? And he said, nope, there isn't anything you really need for that. But I think at the time he said, oh, but he said, I think I should give you a tetanus shot. And I guess a tetanus shot is good for about 10 years. So this is 2018. So yeah, probably I should have a tetanus shot. So next time I'll see her, she said she was going to go through the notes a little bit more thoroughly and see if she could find anything about that. And she probably will find something. I'm sure my doctor probably wrote it down, but she just has to read his handwriting. So I probably will get a tetanus shot, which, okay. I don't like needles, but, you know, at this point in my life anyways, I've had enough needles stuck into me to take blood out or whatever that I can handle a tetanus shot. So anyways, that's my health. It worries me because I've always been very proud of the fact that I've always been in pretty good health. I'm one of those kind of people that, okay, knock wood, don't want to say too much, flu season's coming upon us. I don't get sick. So, and I hope to keep it that way. But anyways, yeah, that's how life goes. Okay, so that's it for this week. I hope you have a good week. I hope my vlog hasn't put up your blood pressure any. And yeah, we'll see you next week. And Stephen and Walter live. And we might do an art attack, just saying, this Sunday. So tune in if you're interested. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this Sunday coming. Bye.